Welcome, everybody, to the Bass Fug Podcast. Today, we have a very special guest, all the way from Germany, Vault Kid, a.k.a. Kenno. Welcome to the show, Vault Kid.
Welcome. Thank you for having me.
We are on webcam right now, but if you are in podcast land, you will not see a Hatsune Miku banner and my my Voltron shirt. So
Nice.
You can just imagine that at home, folks. I would like to start the interview off with Hatsune Miku Expo 2021. Can you please explain for people who don't know whom Hatsune Miku is, and can you please talk about this expo and everything around it?
Yes. So Hatsune Miku is a Japanese idol singer. I would say like a pop singer, but the twist is that she's computer generated, and there's a software called Vocaloid, and it's a little bit like an audio sequencer. People who know how to make electronic music know how it will probably look like with a MIDI editor, and you can input notes and note lengths, but you can also input lyrics and intonations of how the words are sung, and like everybody can buy the software and make music with featuring Hatsune Miku, the singer, and she is very popular, especially in Japan with independent producers who want to have singers on their tracks, but maybe don't know singers, can't sing themselves, and
but it's like it's a robot.
Yes?
It's like a robot singer, right?
Yeah, it's like an anime girl. Yeah, exactly.
So
and she's so popular that she has her own concerts and like festivals. And one was the Miku Expo Online 2021 last year, and I happened to be on like the pre-show lineup as a DJ, and because I won a contest, which with my song "Thousand Little Voices," which I made with a friend called Flanger Moose, and that was also performed by Hatsune Miku herself, and to give a scale on the concert, I think it was it had on Twitch and YouTube together, it had like 60k or 70k viewers, and like that over a span of the full day, because the concert was like streamed 3 times in a row for all time zones or something.
Wow.
So it was a very huge thing,
And for
me too.
And I think for those of you that don't know, this is like a hologram. It's like the Tupac Shakur hologram that was at Lollapalooza like 10 years ago or whatever. It's the same thing, right? It's like they take a hologram of Hatsune Miku and she performs the songs, correct? Is that how that works?
Oh yeah, she's like she's performing like she's like they're projected, and she has an actual live band backing her up. And I think she opened for Lady Gaga too, and she played one of the Coachellas before Corona as well. So she's like a proper touring artist.
Yeah, it's like Blade Runner now. That's awesome.
Yes.
I want to go into sort of this. I want to explore this Vocaloid thing even more, because we never talked about it on the show. And I would love to cover this just a little bit more. I know you don't.
Okay, so then maybe like the entry point there with like the Blade Runner.
Yeah.
I think the issue, the difference to the classical cyberpunk storyline, where the companies are like, have all the power and own the media. It's like with Vocaloid and vocal synths, which is like the broad term for all the different softwares, because there's not just Vocaloid, it's just like one product. It is like a tool that empowers the musician who can't sing or doesn't want to sing, and they can buy the software like just like any other music software, and then they can make their own music with it, and they are not bound like to
voice.
Like they don't have any licensing to do or something. They can just make their own stuff, and they still own the music they make with the featuring the character.
It's like using a meme or something, because in a sense. By the way, I just want to let you know, if you see me looking down a lot, it's because I'm taking notes.
It's fine.
I'm an avid.
Course, yeah.
This is why Basefug is a good music production podcast, because I'm taking notes.
Because he was prepared.
Yes, thank you. I see the KK Slider picture in the background as well, and I'm thinking, we have Hatsune Miku, but she's part of the Vocaloid family. You did a song with Party P, I think it was Sleeping Force,
yes,
right? But that's featuring a different Vocaloid artist, correct? I think that's Diana.
Yes, that's Diana,
and
it's also a Vocaloid. It's like Vocaloid is the term for these like virtual singers for the Vocaloid software, and it's just another singer, voiced by a different like voice actor or singer person.
So sorry, I just wanted to finish the point with, I see the KK Slider thing. We have Hatsune Miku. We have all these Vocaloid things. Is music going to be just auto-generated by an artificial intelligence in 100 years? Where it's like, you don't go to a Bandcamp or whatever. You click a red button on your wall, and it just taps into your Neuralink or some shit, and it starts singing to you whatever it is that you're feeling. Do you see that? Is this too much of a deep question, or do you just see this as a bit of a novelty? Not to cheapen it, but you know what I mean? Do you think it's going to stay here, or is it going to get even more uncanny valley with the virtual singers? You know what I mean?
I think I know what you mean.
Yeah.
I think there will be a huge spot for like generated music, especially in ads, maybe for like radio stuff, like maybe Spotify pleasing you with the kind of music you want to hear based on what you already listen to. But I think there will be always a spot for music made by hands, by like real humans. And I think AIs can't invent new music styles and nuances as well. I think if you look at what we have right now with like the hyperpop wave, like I don't know, the rise of trap music in the last 10 years, with like if you look at the dubstep scene, the color bass movement, like with totally new sound design concepts. I think the human will always find ways to innovate, and that will be and I think AI music can't cover all that. And also for live, and I think also live music will never die. People enjoy having like a band or a DJ in the room, like sweating and like passing energy back and forth between the people on stage and people in the crowd, enjoying music on huge speakers live, made by humans. Will also always have its spot, I think.
Well, we see that live music almost died with all this pandemic bullshit, but it's crazy, because then the URL shows came back, and I feel like there's been new avenues of live shows now. Like, sure, Twitch.tv isn't a live venue, but it's better than nothing, right? It's funny because you have a very pro humanity stance on music, which I love. I don't want to become the robot. I don't want Neuralink. I don't want any of that shit. I like I like my computers and my science fiction, and that is it, to play video games. But it's funny because I remember when micromusic.net first started, and you had all the early chiptune guys living in warehouses that were all like seen like crackers. Like when I say, is that the right word for pirating software, folks? You know, the people that do key gens and stuff like
the real term.
Yeah. Anyways, and I remember they would have T-shirts that would say "fuck Pro Tools," and a lot of the early chiptune was, I guess, a punk resistance against what was coming to be the switch from analog to digital recording. So it's funny that you're very on brand and consistent with your view of the musical landscape. You're using chiptune, which was basically used for primitive music making, right? And also, you get what I'm saying? You get what I'm trying to get out here? Like, I don't know if I'm articulating myself well enough on this, but the genesis of chiptune was to keep it human, to keep a human aspect to making music, even though it was on a computer. And you look at Hatsune Miku, and this is like an AI, not an AI, but it's a computer-driven medium, but to express human things, to help the person who's too shy to sing or can't sing, right? Can you talk a little bit about how you got into chiptune and how the first time you booted up LSDJ or Nano Loop or whatever it is that you started?
Is like chiptune is all that micromusic.net, and I'll send you all these terms that your audience already knows, or should we also go into what?
I doubt anybody knows what micromusic.net is. I doubt anybody knows who Firestarter is. But if you want to, okay, you could talk about micromusic.net if you want, and you could explain
I got into chiptune after micromusic.net was huge. So.
Yeah, well, you started.
I never visited chipmusic.org or what it was. No, like
8-bit collective. 8-bit collective.
8-bit collective. Also, was like pre my times. I got into chiptune very late, I would say.
Yeah,
but I mean, I can I can talk about my history, and then we can get into the specific terms.
Do it.
Yeah, I think. Okay, so funny enough, when I finished high school, I wanted to go to the same college as Virtual Riot went. Maybe you know him. He's like he's a huge electronic producer. Also does a lot of pop stuff for like Justin Bieber and K-pop people. Anyway, so like he was a huge idol, and I wanted to go to the same college, and I was like rejected. Back then I was making music with Cubase, also like Future Bass, like listen to like the super early Marshmallow stuff, and like David Guetta and whatever you like listen to when you first like get into like mainstream dance music, I guess.
Yeah.
In the 2010s. So after and I got rejected there, so I was like, oh, music sucks.
Yeah.
I gotta learn something properly.
Yeah.
Proper. And then I went to the Gamescom, which is the biggest gaming consumer convention in Europe or the world. Maybe the E3 is bigger. But anyways, there I saw someone making music with a Game Boy sitting outside like in front of a convention, and like everybody, like a lot of people went by, and someone just dancing to that guy who bought his guitar amplifier or something and was blasting music he made with the Game Boy in his hand. And I was just chilling there, and then I asked him how he did it, and that was around the time I also started studying in another city. So
do you know who it was? Did they have
the train?
Did you ask for their like SoundCloud or anything like that, or do you know who it was?
Who the artist was?
Yeah, who was with the Game Boy that you went and started asking them?
Oh yeah, that's like Tronimal. He's a good friend now.
Okay.
Very known in like the German chiptune scene.
Cool.
So I asked him how he did it, and then when I had to travel a lot by train to get to my college, so I bought a Game Boy and a cartridge and put LSDJ on it, which is a very popular chiptune 8-bit music tracker software that runs on the Game Boy and uses the sound chip in the Game Boy to synthesize the music. And that's like how my music making started. I had an hour and a half to burn every day in the train rides, and yeah, I filled that with making chip music. And then I also got to know the concerts. I went to a lot of parties, made a lot of friends. Started playing some shows myself. And
is Einbase still active there? What is the chip?
Einbase is still a thing.
Okay. What is the scene like there? I know COVID kind of screwed everything up for everybody, but is there still? Can you just explain what the German scene is like?
I think German scene, like chiptune is like really niche music, so I guess we have like 20 active artists in the whole Germany, and there's a party series in Hamburg, and which is in the north of Germany, and the big one in the biggest one is in Nuremberg, like it's close to Munich, like in Bavaria, like in the south of Germany, and and then there's some one-offs, but we had like the 2 regular party series running, and then a couple of one-offs, but there was at least like 2 or 3 or 4 chiptune parties a year you could go to, but yeah, it was a rather like a rare occasion, and like my best chiptune friends and I also went then to do close, because Germany is very like in the middle of like close to very a lot of other countries in Middle Europe. So we also went to Eindbas in Netherlands, to Bitgrid in Belgium, to France.
Wow, you got really deep into it.
Chipwrecked in Denmark. So it was easy to like visit the neighbor countries too.
That's awesome. You really took advantage of all those opportunities. To go back to, I kind of cut you off on your story about having the Game Boy on the train. Were you drawn to the Game Boy because the portability of it, because it was simplistic, or was it just because of like it was nostalgic, or was it because you just liked chiptune and you sort of wanted to go in that direction?
Like a couple of those reasons, but also, which also leads back to like the origin of chip music. Like everybody, like the pros, all using Pro Tools, which is like super expensive software. I think back then you even had to get like special sound cards for your computer and shit.
Yeah, USB keys, license keys, and stupid shit like that.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah,
and like just like some of the people back then, I got also into chip music because the Game Boy was cheap.
Yeah.
I couldn't buy. I was a poor student, so I couldn't buy a laptop or something to make music with on the go, or like some pocket synthesizer. And the Game Boy, I mean, like the Game Boy prices went up because of collectors.
Yeah.
But I could get like a very nice Game Boy setup for like $60 or $70, which with the Game Boy and the cartridge.
Still pretty good.
Then, so. Yeah. It's like super cheap, and also I grew up playing Pokemon and Tetris on the Game Boy.
Yeah.
So it also was nostalgia, and I think in the same time I also started playing indie games, and in the indie scene, we also have a lot of people using 8-bit kind of soundtracks, and it's just like an aesthetic for all people who grew up with. The good old 8-bit games.
It's timeless. A lot of, when I first started getting into chiptune, not to make this about me or whatever, but I remember the thing that really got me, it wasn't the nostalgia of, oh, I was a kid and I used to play Contra on the Nintendo. It was like something about the sound was channeling, it was going way back into the mind. It was channeling some weird shit. And there are some albums like Cheap Dinosaurs, those early Trash 80 albums, like a Bit Shifter, obviously. There are some of these songs, they fucking hit you. I don't know why, because they sound like video game music, right? But they aren't video game music. It's music made with video game stuff. There's a difference between, the Street Fighter soundtrack and a Saber Pulse song or whatever, a Sasquatch song or whatever. And some of these songs, they would just hit you so hard and pull on these nostalgia heartstrings. But it's kind of like Boards of Canada. You're nostalgic for a thing that you don't know why you're nostalgic for. Cheap Dinosaurs didn't do music when I was a kid. Like, they weren't in any of those video games. So it's crazy how the Game Boy sound, the chiptune sound, is just nostalgic for weird nebulous reasons, right? I can't really put my finger on it. Do you agree or do you disagree? Because I notice in your music...
Yeah, I agree. I was thinking if it's maybe like with like the 80s synth kind of revival with like The Weeknd right now, or like disco stuff with Dua Lipa. Yeah. Like if it's similar itch, but also I know people who didn't even grew up with like other 8-bit music and still enjoy chiptune. So maybe it's not just an like nostalgia thing because it like tickles the same itch as like the Street Fighter 2 soundtrack.
Yeah.
Maybe it's like just like how it sounds because it's so rough.
Yeah.
Like so clean oscillator sounds, like just square waves and white noise modulated.
I was just going to say that.
Star waves. Maybe it's the pureness of the synthesis.
Yeah, the primitive waveforms. Exactly. I was just going to say that. I was thinking maybe that might be it. I noticed in your music, some of the reasons you have a lot of earworms in your discography. I mean, a lot of songs you listen to,
thank you very much.
They're really awesome. No, I mean that. I really mean that. But I think it's because you channel in on the nostalgic sound, but then you find other aspects of nostalgic sound design. Like you'll have these pads come in, like maybe I don't know if they're 80. I don't know what your influence is for those, but you'll have pads mixed with the Game Boy sound, and it's just a lot of nostalgia. Do you feel like that's true? First of all, do you feel like that is maybe a gimmick that a lot of artists could really kind of abuse, the nostalgic sound like a dopamine thing? And can you kind of maybe explain why lush synth pads can fit so well with 8-bit arpeggiators? Those are three questions for you. Feel free to.
What was the first one again? I think I forgot that.
No. The first one do you feel like the nostalgic sound can be abused? You were talking about The Weeknd using 80s synths. Because I love it and I keep making it, but I feel like it's like, is it like the Amen breakbeat? Is nostalgic sounds the same as the Amen drum beat, or what? How do you feel about that?
I feel like to some degree people can abuse it, but I think it's also like if you make music and you don't feel the music really, it also will not be as good as the music from the person who makes the music.
Yeah.
Like and feels it really. I don't know. I tried to make music that's not. Like I tried to make like I don't know. I tried in the past to make bass house music or like dubstep sound design, but I'm just like heavy dubstep sound design. But I'm not like the person for that. I just like my melodies and my kind of sounds. Maybe there are people who can like produce everything and just clone whatever sounds nostalgic or good or popular, but I think it's easier to just do what you like.
The other
okay, so that was the one. Never mind.
The other one was how does the 8-bit sound blend so well with modern synthesis? I noticed some of the pads you're using in some of the songs, the chord progression. But then you'll hear the 8-bit arpeggiators, like the classic. I don't know if they're really arpeggiators because I don't think you can you know what I mean? Like you got to program it a certain way to seem like it's an arpeggiator. How do those fit so well together? You know what I mean? Because it doesn't make sense. They shouldn't be fitting that well together. You get what I'm saying? If you took like a thrash metal guitar solo and you put a bunch of reverb on top of like Serum, I don't think it would work. I really don't think it would work, fam. So why is it that if you have a big pad...
I think it depends on the sounds that you use. I think it's like a very like sound choice is like a very subjective and also very like nuanced like craft.
Yeah.
And I can't really explain why. I just like, I think I just did what I thought sounds good, or what I like learned from listening to other people's music.
Yeah. But you know what I mean, right? Maybe I just sound crazy. I don't know. But that was just one thing that I noticed.
I know. I know what you're asking, but unfortunately I
don't have the answer.
Can't really answer you why it sounds good.
That was literally one of my questions.
It's just like difficult in general to explain why some piece of music sounds good. You can dissect what instrumentals, like the instruments sound like, and what the notes are, but I think in the end it's
okay. I have another,
like, a little bit like magic.
I have another sound kind of design question or something.
Okay.
The mixing of the good kick and the snare drum combo. When I was listening to your discography, I noticed that your kick and your snares, they pop, and that's really, really important for, in my opinion, especially if you're kind of flirting with like the idea of bass music that you're going to play live, and a majority, not all of your discography, but a majority of your songs sound like you could play at a club and not have to worry too much about it. Can you talk about the mixing process? How are you just side chaining your bass drums and your snares? And also maybe you could talk about a bit of the plugins that you're using and what DAW you're using. I think you're using Ableton maybe.
Yes, I'm using Ableton.
Yeah. But let's talk about the bass drums and the snares.
Yeah, okay, so I think the most important thing if you want to make EDM music is to mix the kick and the snare first, and as the loudest parts in the mix. So I usually go, like, I know people sometimes, like, is the people who just mix as they go and don't touch it much in the end, but I write my song, like, so it's like 90% done. Maybe I add some effects or like some layer here, there later. But and then I go to mixing stage, and then I redo the whole mix, and I turn everything down except for the kick and the snare and the sub bass, and I just try to get that right, because if the kick and the snare and the sub sound thick and danceable, then you have like the perfect fundament to build your house on. So then you pop everything back, and then you're good to go. For side chaining, there's like a Max for Life device called Duck Buddy, which is by a YouTuber called Cynic. If you Google Duck Buddy, you'll find it. So I don't use the VST, and it's Ableton only, but I hope the Ableton folks will enjoy the tip.
Yeah.
And what else was part of your question?
Well, it was I think you answered the bass drum snare drum combo thing, because that was one thing I noticed. I was like, that it stands out. One of the things that stands out, one of many things. But here's another one for you, and I hope I'm not stealing too many of your secrets here or whatever. When it comes to recording Game Boy, is your Game Boy Pro modded? Are you exporting from an emulator? How does that work? Do you put a click track on every track, and then you sync it left, right, stereo, do 2 passes? How does that work? How do you get your sounds out of your Game Boy into your computer?
Yes, so I use the pro-sounded Game Boy, which means the Game Boy's modded to have a louder output.
Shout out to low gain audio. Yeah. Shout out to low gain audio. All right. Sorry, I threw that out there. Yeah. Continue.
But you can. I mean, I also started making music with just a regular Game Boy, and just noise floor will be a little bit higher. But there's also tricks to just reduce the noise in post. Yeah. I wouldn't worry about it.
Yeah.
And then, I usually do the LSD. Like if I'm recording Game Boy, from the Game Boy, just plug that in and set in the proper BPM in LSDJ and just record it and then align it. And it will, like, the Game Boy timing is not perfect. So either I cut it decently so it still loops on time, or I warp it. And also, like, a good way to get a clean, authentic sounding Game Boy recording is to actually use the BGB Game Boy emulator and its inbuilt recording feature. If I just make some quick sounds, I just do that. And like in the post, if you mix it in more modern sounding production, nobody will notice anyways. And like the real the real haters gonna be mad because it's not made entirely on a Game Boy anyway. So don't worry about that.
The haters have been there for they were angry that you weren't using what was that one MML or something, the one that Null Sleep invented, where it was like you use like a text file to do your. This is a long ass time ago. They want you writing 65. If you don't write your own 6502 Nintendo assembly, like they're gonna hate on you. So don't worry about it. You ain't shit unless you're hated, is what I say. Is there any tricks once it's in on your DAW? Is there something that you like to do? Like, do you like to put a high pass filter on it, or do you like to boost certain elements, or do you put like a sub on the triangle channels, or what?
When I use like Game Boy in my other in my mixed productions, which are not entirely Game Boy. I use the Game Boy like just as an instrument in my productions. It's most of them I don't use the triangle. I just use the square ones, and then I of course I high pass them. I maybe saturate them with the capitator or the saturator in Ableton. If it's arpeggios, I use an autopan, like the built-in one in Ableton usually. Good reverb is nice. My favorite reverbs are Raum by Native Instruments and Valhalla Room. And then it depends on the track and on the mix. I would say
for a young producer, someone who's listening who doesn't know anything about music, what would you recommend for them to do in 2022 if they want to get into the chiptune scene? Would you just say get an emulator, use your phone? Like, what would you say?
Yeah, if it's a young producer, and like me, when I was young, or a little younger, I think I still consider myself as young.
Okay, sorry.
But when I started, I mean, like a Game Boy is also somewhat cheap, and cartridge, I think it will be like under $100. You can get a setup with a Game Boy and a cartridge. I guess it depends where you live. I don't know, like how the used market for gamers is in Canada, for example.
Really bad, really bad in Canada. Yeah.
So starting with an emulator is a great choice. Yeah. Even if you don't have a laptop, there's Game Boy emulators for Android phones. It's like super easy to start. Just get Little Sound DJ or the Nano Loop demo. And there's tutorials. If anyone really needs help, they can send me a message on Twitter or something, and I send them the proper links to learning resources. My friend Infu has a super in-depth guide on getting started with the software, and I think Chiptune is a great tool to learn the fundamentals of music making. I think making a lot of music with just the Game Boy helped me a lot with my melody writing. Because you don't have to worry about what kick will sound good and what snare to use, because there's
it's all bad.
Maybe 10 different sounds you can make.
For
these specific things. So you have a very limited you don't have to make all the choices you have when you can open Ableton. In Ableton or any other DAW, you can use all the tracks in the world, you can use all the samples in the world, all the plugins, all the synthesizers, all the pianos. And on the Game Boy, you just have 4 channels. Only 3 can produce notes with melody. So you have to figure out how to make it sound good, just like the composers in the 80s and 90s had to do it.
I love it.
I think that's also the reason why the music from back then is so memorable, because the composers had to get the melodies right. Or the soundtrack would have been really bad.
There's a picture of Phil Collins with with masking tape in the studio, and he's putting masking tape before DAWs existed, but you know what I mean, using each cutting pieces of masking tape and color coding them like it was Ableton or Cubase or something, and putting the parts, but like on a chalkboard or something like that. I was like, I saw that picture and it blew my mind. I was like, that is so fucking smart, dude. Yeah, I love that you just threw the invitation out there for anybody to ask you. I wish, Trent Reznor would have said, "Hey, here's my phone number. If you want to learn how to make industrial music, just call me," or whatever. That would have been really helpful for me when I was a goth in high school. Last question, Vault Kid. First of all, thank you so much for your time. I really, really appreciate it. There's one question that I have here that I wanted to kind of touch on. I noticed there's a lot of collaborations going on in your work. A lot of your songs are collaborating with other people. I was wondering if you could kind of talk about that. Where do people meet other people to collaborate? Say that kid, that hypothetical kid we were talking about, who wants to start making chiptune. What does he do? Download Discord? How does he find other people to collaborate with? How does he find mentors? How does he find, you know what I mean? And how important is collaboration? Because I can't collaborate with people. It just doesn't work. I use Renoise on Linux. It ain't compatible with a lot of things, right?
That's sick.
So like, how? I just want to get your take on the whole collaboration thing. Is this just a coincidence that you happen to be collaborating a lot, or is this something you seek out?
I think it's something I seek out because I think I'm quite a social guy, and I just like to get to know people, and also I'm very interested in like just learning more about music production. So I'm gonna try to collab with people who maybe can teach me something along the way. Also, like it's nice for maybe if two people make music together and release it, like people of both fan bases maybe gonna hear it, and of course it's also a nice plus to maybe have a listener more or two.
Yeah.
But to get to like the how I would like how that developed, I think like being part of communities is very helpful in general. If you want to make friends in communities, I was lucky to get into the Chiptune community, and more in the recent years into the Vocaloid and Vocalsynth community, and just when I started Chiptune, Facebook groups were super big. I don't know how that is still today, but I think the Chiptune groups on Facebook are still very populated. I also got my first gigs through that, and like there's in the Chiptune scene open stage gigs where you can just go to a party, and the first half hour like everybody can do whatever and just volunteer to play a track was a thing. I got in a lot of friends through like these Facebook groups, and then attending events, and in the later and since Corona started, a lot through Discord and Twitter. I guess I think if you just try to get around people that have the same interest as you, let it be Discord servers or physical events, is very it's a good place to start. And I think if you want to find Discord server, you can just hit up Google, just search on Twitter, look at hashtags. I think if you really want it, you can find communities to start and be part of.
That easy, huh? Wow. That's incredible. What a time to be alive, to be a producer.
Yeah, I think I'm really fortunate to be a producer in 2022 and not like 100 years ago. or like even
no offense taken. No offense taken. Don't worry. I remember when I was starting in MS-DOS on Fast Tracker 2, there were two other guys in my city that made music on their computers, and I had to go find them. And one guy was an asshole. We're friends now, but in the beginning, you know what I mean? And that was it. That was all I had. Yeah. That was, I lied. I have one last question. This is a softball question. Vault Kid, is that a Fallout reference, or how did you get the name?
Oh, yes. Actually, there's like somewhere on my hard drive, there's an unreleased EP that's like it's basically a Fallout 3 concept album, which follows like it has tracks to like each like place or major event in the first like 10 hours of the game or something.
I had to guess
like a Megatown song and stuff like that. So like I made that and wanted to release that back then in 2014 or something, but that never happened. But the name stayed.
I just needed to know.
Fallout reference.
I'm glad I guessed that right. Thank you so much, Keno. Where can we find you on social medias? Can you list your social medias for the people listening so that they could check you out?
Yes, I'm almost everywhere. I am known as I am Vault Kid on Twitter and Instagram. But I also, if you Google Vault Kid, I think you can find me, or just Google Vault Kid Music, Vault Kid Chiptune, Vault Kid Vocaloid. On Spotify and other streaming servers, I'm the only Vault Kid, I think. So you can find me there as well.
Excellent.
Yes.
Thank you so much for your time. I'm going to end the audio here,
so much,
and I'll say goodbye to you in a second. Bye, everybody. Thank you. Take care.